This podcast is hosted by RPP.
If you are easily spooked, creeped, or offended, this might not be the podcast for you.
Hi guys, welcome back to I Think My Fridge is Haunted. My name is Gemma. It's been a couple of weeks since I was in the studio. I've actually been travelling and I'm getting over a cold at the moment. So I haven't really had a lot of time to get into the studio and talk to you guys, unfortunately. I did want to say thank you so much to all of our new subscribers and thank you for all the people coming back for more content and leaving a lot of comments and leaving your opinions. It's been really, really great to read. Now this week, because I haven't been feeling 100%, unfortunately, I've only got a pretty short video where I'm just going to go through some of the stuff that's happened within the last couple of weeks during the mushroom trial. So the big thing that's happened recently is on June the 12th, 2025, the court wrapped up all witness testimony for the mushroom murder trial. So that means that everybody that they want to interview has now been interviewed. All of the health experts, Simon, Ian, Erin herself, the police, everybody that they wanted to interview has been interviewed. I'm interested to know from you guys, do you think they've interviewed enough people? Or was there somebody else that you wanted to see testimony from? Now, Erin Patterson herself gave testimony for 8 days, which must have been exhausting. No matter whether she's guilty or innocent, it must have been a stressful time for her, especially being that she was cross-examined by Dr. Nanette Rogers, who is a force of nature. Now, Dr. Rogers was not easy on EPAT. She was blunt, she was direct, and quite frankly, I think that she said a lot of things that all of us have been thinking. In closing her cross-examination, she went right for it. She went ahead and said, quote, "I suggest that you deliberately sourced death cap mushrooms in 2023. Agree or disagree?" To which EPAT said, "Disagree." Dr. Rogers then said, "I suggest you deliberately included them in the beef Wellingtons you served to Don Patterson, Gail Patterson, Ian Wilkinson, and Heather Wilkinson. Agree or disagree?" EPAT says she disagrees. Dr. Nanette Rogers then says, "And you did so intending to kill them. Agree or disagree?" EPAT says disagree. So Dr. Rogers is basically summing up her whole side of the case at this point. Now, when I said Dr. Rogers was saying things that we'd all been thinking, that includes this example. Dr. Rogers suggested to Erin that the reason that she told the lunch party she was having cancer treatment, and I say cancer treatment because as we know, Erin now has said in court she never said that she had cancer. So let's just say she insinuated, allegedly, that she was having cancer treatment. Now, Dr. Rogers says that she said that to them because she presumed that they would all soon be dead and the alleged cancer illness story would then be taken to the grave. Now, as I said, EPAT is now backpedaling, saying she never said she had cancer, she never had cancer, and she never even mentioned cancer. Now, this means that she is directly arguing the credibility of Ian Wilkinson, who told the court back in week 2, I think it was, or week 1, that she specifically told the family at the lunch that she had cancer. Furthermore, she was asking them to support her in giving her an idea of how she was possibly going to tell the children. She's now alleging that the health issue she was actually going through was bulimia and that she was seeking weight loss treatment at a place called the Enrich Clinic in South Yarra. So it's interesting to me that she needed help breaking this news to the children. It's very strange to me. Now, interestingly, when she said that in court, the Enrich Clinic quickly came out with a statement, and that detailed that they offer no such services as those EPAT claims that she was going to have done, these being gastric bypass surgery. Now, according to news.com.au, quote, "Ms. Patterson refused to concede she lied, saying that was her memory, but perhaps it was another weight loss procedure, such as liposuction," which I question because To drive from Leongatha to South Yarra, it's a good 2-hour drive. So driving 2 hours without a clear idea of what it is that you're going to an appointment for. So which is it? Is it bypass or is it liposuction or is it cancer? Which one is it? Maybe it's nothing. It seems like a pretty big procedure to get mixed up. The word that she used, in fact, was, quote, puzzled. And it's a word that I have noticed in court that she's used a lot. She tends to use this word, I find, to justify discrepancies that she's come up with in court. You could call them lies. Let's just call them discrepancies. And when she uses the word puzzled, I find it's quite a diminishing word, especially when she's referring to other people's sworn comments. These are people like Ian who take oaths in court seriously. So when she says that she's puzzled about the fact that she was booked in to talk to a doctor about bypass surgery, but then they come up and say they don't offer that, saying that she's puzzled diminishes other people, I find. It also diminishes her own intelligence. And this is something I really want to quickly talk about here. When she diminishes her own intelligence, she takes us back to this picture of this oopsie-daisy housewife and mother figure, which she and her defense want us to see her as. I challenge that image. This lady has got a university degree. Furthermore, she was an air traffic controller, which is a really hard job. In fact, Air Services Australia have confirmed, quote, Erin Scudder, her previous name, was employed by Air Services Australia as an air traffic controller from 12th of February 2001 until 28th of November 2002. She was rated in the field and was actually responsible for running airspace for a while. Now, let's not forget what happened in 2001. 9/11 happened in 2001. It was a particularly stressful time, and I would argue that it changed air travel for quite some time, at least the next decade. So you're taking a stressful profession, and in that time frame, you're making it extra stressful. This lady knows what stress is. So what puzzles me is that she can manage an airspace room at the height of a terrorist threat, but she can't label a jar of mushrooms. Now, I've worked with airspace nerds. They're very meticulous people. So I don't buy this silly me image that is trying to be sold to the court. So moving on, let's talk more about the cancer, not cancer issue. Now, this is interesting to me, not only because it's very confusing to misunderstand a cancer admission, but also because if Erin Patterson were to undergo a surgical procedure pertaining to her weight, she would have to go to hospital. And if there's one thing we have learned about Erin Patterson in the past 8 weeks, it's that she has a marked disdain for hospitals. Now, just speaking from my own limited surgery experience, I've had cosmetic surgery. I've actually had a breast reduction. It's gross. I made the mistake of looking up a video of the procedure once, just morbid curiosity, and I almost passed out. So if Erin can't handle a drip being put into her arm, how is she going to manage an invasive surgery? Furthermore, it's a surgery that's completely elective. Which brings me to my next point, and I'm very interested to hear your comments about this too. During the trial, Erin also expressed a plan that she was going to go to university the following year in 2024 to study nursing. And where do nurses primarily work? Hospitals. I mean, there are nurses that work in cosmetic surgery clinics. Maybe they're on the road, perhaps they're looking after people that need in-home care, but primarily nurses tend to work in a hospital or hospital-like space. So for someone that hates hospitals and hates tests done in hospitals, why would you want to make that your life's work? It's very strange to me. In my last video, we talked about the concept of the mother being the height of innocence and grace. Could we imagine that EPAT is leaning into that further by making herself even more holy, by claiming that she has an inner calling to become a nurse? Don't forget, we see a nurse as a selfless caregiver. It's interesting to me that she would want to be a nurse, which is a really hard job considering her alleged heart issues, which she detailed to Simon back in 2022. On 4th of January 2022, Simon wrote to her, "How's your back today?" Erin replied, quote, "It's getting better each day. It's my heart that's troubling me. I'm struggling with the energy to do basic things like get in and out of the car, and after I have a shower, I need to lie down and rest because the whole ordeal exhausts me." Later, she says, "It feels like my heart is working overtime to deliver oxygen to my body and not doing it very well. I'm breathing so hard after everything I do." And Simon then said, "Holy crap, that sure is a lot more extreme than low energy. That's making it really difficult to do normal life." So how is someone with this kind of health disposition going to manage the life of a nurse? Apart from the heavy lifting, there are also night shifts, early mornings. It's not the kind of job that you can do if you have energy limitations. And also, as someone in my 40s, it's not something that I think that I would consider going into as I'm approaching 50. It's just too hard. So I have a question. Given the amount of, let's call them untruths, that have been revealed during EPAT's trial, and I'm very interested to see your comments about this, has there ever been call for EPAT to undergo a psychiatric evaluation? Can a psychiatrist gather from examining and interviewing her whether she might have delusions of grandeur, a pathological lying disorder, a behavioural disorder, a personality disorder? And if so, would this make her less culpable if found guilty? The case of Vince Lee in Canada comes to my mind, where he violently murdered a man that was travelling on a Greyhound bus and, let's just say, dismembered him in front of everybody. He got off on the grounds of mental health and is a free man today. Do you think that Erin should have had a psychiatric evaluation, or maybe she's had one and it just hasn't been told to the press? Today I'm going to leave you with this. It's a comment made by defence barrister Mr. Mandy during his closing arguments. And at this point I feel like he's either won or he's clutching at straws. I can't quite figure out which. Mr. Mandy said, quote, "She's not on trial for lying. This is not a court of moral judgment." Also, he said about the prosecution, quote, "You can't force jigsaw puzzle pieces together. Prosecutors can, as we've seen in our learned friends' address, force the evidence to fit their theory." Mr. Mandy then addresses propositions from the prosecution, which he calls convoluted and absurd. And these are that Erin Patterson would commit murder without any motive, that Ms. Patterson used the cancer lie to get her lunch guests to attend, that Ms. Patterson expected her guests to take her claims about having medical issues to the grave, and that Ms. Patterson would have committed the crime knowing an investigation would fall directly on her. He says the defence has clearly refuted each of these points in its closing. Has it though? Mr. Mandy said to the court, quote, "If you think that maybe she deliberately poisoned the meal, you must find her not guilty. If you think that it's likely that she deliberately poisoned the meal, you must find her not guilty. If you think that she probably deliberately poisoned the meal, you must find her not guilty." So where are you at the moment, Fridgies? I want to know, because the jury are about to go in to deliberate. I am so interested to see how long they will be deliberating for. It could be a day, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 3 weeks. I don't know what the record is for the longest deliberation. I need to look that up. But I think it's going to be a hard one for the jury, and I think they might be in there for a little while if... and we could even be headed for a hung jury. Please tell me your comments in the comment section below. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe and throw us a like if you feel so inclined. And I will see you next time. Until then, don't forget to be creepy, but don't be a creep. Bye, everyone.